On today's episode of Watch Jericho, you guys thought the snap-on truck was bad. Nothing in compared to where we're going. What is going on, guys? I am Watch Jericho, and like I said, today we're gonna lose some money. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of how Harleys go. We are headed to the Harley dealership. First, it's the only place you can really get parts for them. And second, I need a lot of parts. So I think today's gonna hurt. I already bought new tires for the Vrod this morning at $512 to go to some Metzler's, which is a great tire. I had Metzler's on a few bikes and always loved them. So instead of doing the Harley Dunlop co-branded one, we're going to the Metzler Ultra Marathons. Should be a great tire with you know, that stronger compound in the center so they don't flat spot so much with that highway mileage. We'll be at the Harley dealership here in a few minutes, and we need a lot of parts, including brake rotors, brake pads, grips that work, maybe mirrors. We might be spending thousands today. And here we are at the Palace of Harley-Davidson. It's hard to see around the pillar there. But you guys, like, if you see these stores, that should pretty much tell you how much money they're making. There's no other motorcycle dealership that is like this. It must just be absolutely out of control since they build palaces or castles for each one of their dealerships. And I'm about to find out just how rough that's gonna be. Even the grips. Ooh, that new Pan American. That's what I'm talking about. Oh no, did I just become a Harley person? I'm now $1,800 poorer. And I didn't even get that much stuff. Let's hop in the truck. We'll talk about what's in this box. My math was off. It was actually $2,100 and change, probably $2,200 in parts in this $3,500 Vrod. I am so far into it, I've almost spent the entire cost of the bike on parts to bring it back to life. So let's see what we've got here. We've got mirrors. The factory mirrors were about $90. It was $141 to go to these much, much nicer machined ones that have Harley-Davidson like laser engraved or CNC'd in them. I had to do that. It was an obvious choice, a few more dollars to make the bike actually look good. The OEM mirrors are literally just a stem with a big teardrop, and they were hideous. And I couldn't put that on there. I thought about it long and hard. I was like, just like a few more dollars for that. So we did it. We got the alternator cover gasket. Obviously, it's what was leaking on the bike. We got to stop the oil leak. Grips. Those edge grips, it's a Harley-Davidson grip, worst one I've ever seen in my life. There were tons of comments where people were like, those are trash. Facts, those are trash. We went to a much nicer grip for your hand. Like, this is an ergonomic grip that doesn't suck and still looks cool and still has a Harley logo in it. $90 in grips. It's really expensive when I wish I could have ran a rubber grip, but they couldn't even get both grips factory. Only one of them was in stock or could even be found, I guess. So we ended up with those. And I like the way they look. It's gonna work out well. Now I spent $300 and change, $310, $20 on eBay to buy a used set of the Brembo calipers off an 06. So we bought all these parts for an 06, which means I've got the Brembo brake pads here. Front, rear rotors, all three of those rotors are on order. They'll be here in 2 weeks. And the brake pads, the Brembo brake pads for every one of those are also on order except for the rears that are here. There's some other stuff in here. I could have obviously done Motul for the oil change, but we just did the Screaming Eagle Sin 3 there. It's a factory oil for the bike, so I went ahead and bought that. The Harley oil filter, which is just straight black. I mean, it looks nice if you can see it on the bike. The air filter is in there too, the factory paper one. I can't wait to throw away that K&N air filter that's in there. It's going straight in the trash, and it will keep it from ever fouling any MAFs or you know, passing larger dirt through the thing. I mean, the paper filters are much better for your engine. Just change them. It's not that big of a deal. How often are you really changing an air cleaner on your bike? Like once every 3 years. So $40 for that. I think that's what it cost. And it's good insurance. And then the universal turn signal switch, which I'm very pumped about for the turn signal that stays on when the bike starts. If you need to know what that is, I'll try to put part numbers for all this in the description below, because that could actually really help somebody. I was probably here for an hour and a half while we found all these parts. I mean, it's a big deal to find parts for a Vrod. So I'll try to put every one of these part numbers in a list in the description with just a quick description of what they were. So if you need them, you can find them. It's good luck if you need some of these parts, especially the switches. It's a fight to find those. I've looked and looked and looked on eBay for days and it hasn't worked out. Luckily the dealership found the switch, 71683-06A. that is the right-hand turn signal switch. And then of course the bike was creeping forward at idle and it was impossible to find neutral. I thought it was a major issue with the gearbox. Now I really think it's just the clutch not disengaging all the way. So we can probably fix that by bleeding it. The Vrod forums say that it's definitely just a bleeding issue, but I bought the Screamin' Eagle slipper clutch from the later model bikes so I can have a much better performing bike. That was $250. Actually a smoking deal, and it comes with everything pre-assembled, so we should be able to just slide in my new clutch here in a couple of weeks, and that's where we came up with $2,200 of parts. Honestly, nothing out of the ordinary. I didn't go crazy buying nonsense. There's no ridiculous like black CNC. It's all just normal parts, and it was $2,200 and change to put this bike back together. All right, let's get out of this castle-looking Snap-on truck and go fix a motorcycle. And now we are back here with my Vrod and all of the parts that we got today, which really isn't that much, and we're gonna try to make this thing rideable. So the most important thing here is the grips that can turn either direction at will. Worst grips ever in history. I mean, there were comments where people knew how bad the edge grips were. So I can't wait to get real grips on here, and maybe we can get the turn signal fixed today. And there's a few other things that need to get knocked out today, like getting this trash off here. Yeah, fixed one thing already. And getting those LEDs out of there. The insane amount of horrific LED wiring that is running all over this bike. Oh my, I just noticed how the grounds are just wires shoved under bolts. So let's see, are those 10s? They look like 10s. They are. So we're gonna go ahead and loosen these up. And hopefully, I'm gonna have to take these bolts all the way out to fix how bad this is. And then hopefully we can dig up. This isn't even a real LED kit. I don't get, there's single diodes sticking out over the wheels and stuff like that. You can't see that. There's no way that provides any real light. All right, so we'll pull all this through here and hopefully the LEDs start coming off as we do this. So give me just a minute and I will get all of these LEDs out of here. Hopefully we have a big pile of trash on the floor of stuff we took off the bike. Well, we ended up taking the whole bike apart. I got the airbox off. I had to pull the trumpets out. The trumpets hold the airbox to the throttle bodies here. You can see the throttle bodies. You can see that the gasket here was broken. I think the other half is on the trumpet there. So we spent a ton of time cleaning all this up, trying to detail every little bit of this bike where there's like oil and grease buildup from years of just not being taken care of in reality. So we're reversing all of those years of neglect, basically. And all of this has been cleaned. It's pretty cool. This thing's coil unplugged. A lot cooler than having to deal with spark plug wires like all the other Harleys. The coils are right there and right there. And it looks like it's not fun to change plugs, but it can be done. So interesting. Didn't know that until today. All of the LED trash is off of the bike. Look at the pile we pulled out of there. What a pile of junk. So much cutting and so much putting all the factory looms back onto the factory holders. I've got almost everything clipped back on where it went, and it had all been taken off. So we've also repaired where they tapped in for their power. Durrell taped that up, so it's looking much, much better. They had only pulled the insulation back, so we pulled it back over the wire where it goes and then taped it back up to kind of secure that. So much, much, much better already. And next up, I guess we move on to bleeding the clutch because I need the clutch to work. It just doesn't work very well. Like we said in the last video, the bike creeps even with the clutch all the way in. So there's definitely some kind of issue with that. And of course, I don't want to get too much into it because I have the slipper clutch coming, which means we have to remove the exhaust and the side cover and everything shortly. So for today, let's just try to make the slave and the hydraulic system work. And from there, we can move on to replacing it all, and it will be good after that. The Vrod is starting to look like a motorcycle again. Look how clean this stuff's getting. It was just completely covered in oil, probably all from the leak around there with some fuel coming back up the intake. So that's getting better and better. And now I'm trying to do the grip. You can see the edge grips here that have failed. There's a built-in holder here that Harley makes to hold the grip at the perfect angle. It's like a half moon that kind of keys into the bottom. Well, if I can get the grip apart, which I'm trying, it's not going very well. Oh, just kidding, it's going very well. Now this grip should just slide off. Let's see if it, oh yeah, look at that. It does just slide off. So now I can open up my new ones and just toss them in. We've got the Harley Get It grips right here. Again, link in the description for these. One side is very obviously the throttle. Yeah, look at that, it comes with instructions. I wasn't even gonna read them. And this side doesn't need instructions, obviously, because it has the half moon and a little pin to kind of lock the thing even better. So now all we have to do is slide this in here, kind of like so. And I'll just kind of keep checking it with our controls, and I'll just work this back and forth till it goes on. Then I can just put my two T25s back in and we should have grips. The clutch is amazing now. It's super easy to use now that my hand doesn't spin on the grip. Over here, we're taking off the edge grip. Obviously I pulled the top cap off. Now I have to get the cables off of the throttle. Already loose. Well, I'm super excited that Harley had all of the parts for this thing. We've got the broken lever, and it will now match the other one, which is sweet. The brake lever was obviously broken off. Here's our airbox gasket. I'm so pumped that they had that in stock, and the chrome switch caps to match all the other switches. When I took the handlebar switches apart, I found out the bottom of the switch was broke out, and that probably wasn't helping the turn signal switch not work there. So now we can rebuild the turn signal switch and put it all back together today with all of the stuff that we really needed to put it back together right. But I mean, the memes are true. It was $100. Everything on the list has been $100. HD does stand for $100, doesn't it? So we've got our new lever here. Looks much better. It's not snapped off like the existing one is. Also, it's a little bit thinner, it almost looks like, which I'm kind of excited about. So there's a snap ring in here. It's gonna be a little bit hard to get to up underneath. And I need to spin this ring around, and then if we can get these snap ring pliers in here. Ooh, I think this might be too small. I might need smaller snap ring pliers than this. Well, we didn't have the snap ring pliers that I needed, but I got the job done, because you guys know that I'm gonna get it done no matter what. So as long as this clears the mirrors, which I'm sure hoping it does. Oh, it doesn't. Oh! Okay, now it's gonna clear the mirror. Boom, boom. There's our pivot pin right there. I'm gonna wipe all this out and then we'll drop the pin in. And I used a tiny little straight bit screwdriver to open up that clip. Worked out great. This needs like graphite lube. I wish I had some. This is all supposed to be easy, but we rebuilt the entire bike in a day. Like, well, at least everything I could. Here's the chrome switch cap kit for the Vrod, and honestly a whole bunch of bikes, but mostly the Vrod. And the reason for that is because I got a brand new turn signal switch from Harley. And of course, the bottom of this broke off of the chrome cap. So now we have all new chrome caps. Just doesn't end. It was either change them all to black or change them all to new chrome ones. Obviously the answer is just leave it alone, make it look good with the chrome. So we've got our new brake lever on, that's way better. And of course it's already all apart because I'm doing the grips at the same time. Now on to these chrome caps that are somehow individually packaged. So these look really good. The ones on the bike are absolutely ruined. If you take a gander at these, they're just trash. Obviously it's plastic and it goes bad. So we're gonna replace every single one of them, and then it won't have all this chrome failure on it. We gotta open up the instructions this time too. I need to figure out how to take these switches apart. There's a switch cap removal tool, but none of the stuff that we're working on today. Turn signal switches. Carefully pry the off. Oh, okay. Well, this is how you do it. Take your very small screwdriver. It said pry it off the spline side and just lift up. I feel like I'm gonna break it. I don't wanna break it. Come on. And then you just go like this. It said pop it over and then push it off. Well, that should be there. Whoop. Apparently that's how you do this. Here's our new chrome cap for the switch. These are interesting switches too. I'm not actually sure what's actually, oh, the splines are what actuate it. Huh, pretty cool. Now we can get the top started, slide that in there. That's nerve-wracking. If you ever thought you were gonna break something, this is the time. All right, then this should just snap over the splines. And it looks like it's kind of keyed. So if we go, oh, somewhere in here. And now we take my very expensive switch setup here. I don't know what that cost, but I assume the switch was a lot. And then that chrome cap, I mean, that 30 bucks for the kit of caps. Now we have to match these wires up. I have matched them. about as much as I'm gonna be able to match them. Oh, you gotta grit your teeth while you do that because there's no going back. There's no going back. All right, now we can strip this, and I'm gonna heat shrink and solder them and put it all back together. There's enough wire there to pull it in and put it in this Bosch connector, but unfortunately, they don't sell the pins as a kit. So I couldn't de-pin the connector and run the wires through like I wanted. So it will have a cut in it instead of going all the way into this quick disconnect. So it's just how it had to be done. Unfortunately, it's one of those things. So we're about ready to put all that back together. Honestly, I think we are ready to put that back together. One more little bit of solder. Tin our gun there. And here we go. Now for our heat shrink, and we'll put this thing back together. Wow, here we are like 7 hours into this job, and it looks like we've gotten mostly everything done, but it's not. Like, the controls still aren't actually together. They're just kind of hanging out there while I try to get them together. I've got it all positioned, but the throttle cable hasn't been tensioned yet. I need to put the screws back in that, and then obviously I have to take this whole side back apart so we can put in the new chrome switch housings over there, which do look a lot better. I mean, check those things out. Like, they look way better because they've got nice crispy black print in them still, and they don't have the little bubbles where the chrome's failing. So that's a huge deal. I've got the cluster back together, and we've got the gasket sitting there ready for the air box to go on. Just what a day, and what an insane amount of money to rebuild this thing. And this just does the top, and we haven't even put the mirrors on yet, and I haven't even switched to maybe the LEDs. And people were saying these are the factory mirrors. Harley would never, ever in the history of the universe do something like that. Rusted out fasteners on there. That's horrific. So I got to figure out what to do about that. I need chrome hardware for that, honestly. Something that can survive some weather. But we got a lot done. I mean, it's got grips, which is a massive improvement. Turn signals work. I've tested it. All the new switches are working. I've tested them. We've got that new brake lever that's not broken off. I haven't even begun to start on the mirror project, which is going to be big with all the lights and all that stuff to deal with. We cleaned the engine. What a day. There's so much time in this bike now, and I'm closing in on $6,000. Almost there, which is of course the price of probably a nice one. But this one is now going to be incredibly nice, way nicer than any $6,000 one, because obviously all the brakes are brand new front to back, and 2002s are what sell for $6,000. The later ones sell for a lot of money. 01, 02, those bikes, those are the cheap ones. This has everything an 06 has now, except for the slightly bigger engine. So we're getting there. Once I get that new clutch in, it'll have the slipper the new ones have. We'll have the Brimbos the new ones have. And obviously everything will work correctly. And I can't wait to ride this. I cannot wait to ride this. And I plan on riding it today. At this rate, I don't even think the airbox is going to be back together. This is a multi-day project to try to fix everything on the bike in one swath. Everything has been cleaned and cleaned and cleaned as we go. If there's one thing I know, it's hard to clean the top of an engine once it's back all together. And obviously all the crud that was all over the back of the engine was probably fuel spilling out from the fuel injection back here on this back cylinder. So with a new gasket, we should have solved that. And my new tires will be here Friday, but I can't put them on until the brakes are here. And the controls are back together. The throttle's adjusted. The instructions clearly said make sure the throttle snaps back freely. Looks like it's free to me. All the adjustment, I just loosened up that front cable there, and that gave me the slack to get the old throttle off, and then I just tightened it right back to exactly where it was. You could tell by the rust where the adjustment nut used to be. So I just ran it back in, hit the jam nut, and it's good to go. So now if we flip this thing on, power, turn signals, look at that. And here's the other one. Everything works like it should. Start button. Oop, wrench fell down. We are good to go. All the comments were right. Harley-Davidson stands for $100. I forgot most of the comments, but it seems like everything was right based on how deep we are into this bike so far. But also, it's gonna be super fun to ride. This is the one I wanted. I don't regret my purchase one bit or spending all of this money to have an incredibly nice one. Everything done right, everything fixed. I am pumped. Also, there were some comments yesterday about that being a Corvette. The doors go up on that Corvette. It also costs double the most expensive Corvette you can buy right now. Anyway, it's a McLaren GT, and they're finishing up an insane detail on it right now. That is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to head on over to shop.watchjericho.com for cool shirts just like this, and please like, share, subscribe, do whatever you want to do, and I will talk to you next time. Well, Darrell and I are going to eat our Burger King. We got some Whopper melts. We already know they're delicious, and we got a lot done on this bike, and that's definitely going to be a 2-day project to get this all wrapped up. Mostly because I have to take this back apart. And then when all the other stuff comes in, I bet it's another 2-day project. Because when the slipper clutch comes in, this whole side of the bike comes off. All the exhaust, all the covers, and we still haven't even bled the clutch. Oh, there's so much work to do. But we're getting there. Fully restoring a V-Rod as fast as possible. I just want to go ride it.